All right, party people. So we are going to get moving with this assignment for today, Thursday. So you have clicked here for the video. Then what you're going to want to do is also open your work up on Google Classroom. All right, so you're going to open up the assignment on Google Classroom, the model, and the model, if you're in the right place, will look like this. Okay, so should remember this image. It was on our Try to final. Now, the reason we're bringing it back up again is we're looking at some xenophobia in the modern day. All right, you could almost call this the fourth Red Scare. All right, we never actually ends up covering the second and third Red Scares. All right, they actually happened in the 1950s, the 2000s. We could call this the fourth Red Scare. So this was a Red Scare cartoon, and if you remember, and how did we know? Well, when we looked at this cartoon, what we noticed first is we had Uncle Sam. All right, so I'm going to write that in here. He was looking into this pot, and they called that the melting pot. And we remembered from our SFIs that the melting pot is the idea of immigrants becoming American. But if we notice in the title, it says we can't digest the scum. So that means that the melting pot is not working. Immigrants are not becoming American. And this idea is called xenophobia. And why aren't they becoming American? Well, if we look in the cartoon, it says IWW, Bolshevism, red flag, mad notions of Europe. So that means that communism is making immigrants not American. Okay? So if you look at my annotations here, this is just my thoughts. These are my thoughts as I'm looking at a cartoon like this. And then I actually look at the question. And this was the try to question. We replaced xenophobia with the second answer, but this should all work out. So look back at that try to question, guys, and take a couple of minutes and remember, okay, what does point of view mean? What is immigration? What is xenophobia? What do we mean by labor unions? Just refresh your memory a little bit. All right, so take a couple minutes and you're going to write your answer in here. Remember, you're going to do part A. Oops. Whoa, disappeared. Let's see if I can get it back. There we go. You're going to do part A, part B, and part C. So just take a couple minutes and do that. So I'm just going to wait for a second here. So just pause the video, all right, and just practice this a little bit. Okay. So now that you've done that, what you should be able to do is if you scroll down, guys, you should be able to see an exemplar. And if you look at the exemplar, it just matches all that stuff I did in my annotation. So the author is scared of immigrants. They are xenophobic. Okay? Now, if you had mentioned labor unions, you could have said they distrust labor unions. Then in part B, you just use your annotations. You just explain how you knew part A. And then finally in part C, it's just review. The Red Scare, we had those immigration quotas. Labor unions were seen as communists. So you just remembered those things from what we covered. And this was in about February. So I know it feels like it's a long ways back, but It's this reoccurring thing in U.S. history, this xenophobia, this fear of immigrants. So that's what we're doing in this model. I'm just showing you guys that what you do is you make these annotations, you read the question carefully, point of view, prove the point of view in part B, and then like give background information, and you put that in that box. So after you finish with this, what you guys are going to do is you're going to go and you're doing assignment 2 on your own. It's the same thing though, okay? So if you look at assignment 2, your xenophobia independent practice, you're going to see it's the same thing, but with 2 new images. So some people call this one the 3rd Red Scare, and then you could almost call this one in the present, you could call this the 4th Red Scare. Now these aren't about communism, but they are about xenophobia, about that same fear. So you're going to read the caption, make sure you read the caption carefully. Then you're going to annotate the cartoon right here and answer the question right here. You're going to read the caption, and I'm making this a little bit bigger for you guys, sorry about that. You're going to read the caption here. You're going to look at this primary source. You're going to annotate it here, and then you're going to answer this question here. All right, and notice neither one asks you to do part C, so you don't need SFIs. You just need to do part A and part B. You're going to submit that to Google Classroom, and that's what I'm going to grade. So if you did do work, if you actually put all this stuff in here in part in the model, great, because then you're going to do better here, but only submit on this practice. Okay, this was just the model and you were following along. This is the actual practice. This is what you're submitting for a grade for today. All right, and hopefully we're able to see like xenophobia, it's a big issue. All right, I will see you guys next week. We'll have office hours tomorrow after the turn-in time. So if you're not able to turn this in before noon, all right, I definitely expect to see you at office hours tomorrow so you can explain, hey, why didn't I turn this in? You know, I got confused on this part, I got confused on this part. All right, but we also have the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Ask me questions, guys, okay? If you're confused, so you can turn this stuff in at noon tomorrow on Friday, and I can get all those grades in and IC. Okay, so we have office hours tomorrow, all right, after noon, so it's going to be from 1:40 to 2:40, right? But I would really appreciate it if you guys turn this in at noon tomorrow, unless you have questions. Okay, otherwise I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, and it was good to work with you guys this week, all right?